Outlaws is one of them LucasArts classics that slipped through the cracks for a lot of folks back in 1997. But now it's back in a full remaster, cleaned up, sharpened, and riding on modern consoles for the very first time. So the big question is, does this forgotten Western first-person shooter still pack a punch in 2025, or should it have stayed buried out in the desert? Well, partner, I threw on my cowboy hat, saddled up, and I rode straight into Outlaws, a handful of missions remastered, and let me tell you, partner, this here remaster surprised me in more ways than one. So without further ado, let's ride. Now, hit your horse outside and pull up a stool at the saloon because it's time to talk story and presentation. Outlaws is not your typical 90s shooter where plot takes a back seat. LucasArts went all in on the cinematic Western vibe. The game opens with a nearly 7-minute cutscene, and for 1997, the presentation was genuinely impressive. Nightdive didn't remake these scenes, but instead preserved them exactly as they were, just cleaned up beautifully. They look sharp, crisp, and totally authentic to the Old West, and I love that they kept them intact. It feels like watching a lost Western film that's suddenly been restored. You play as ex-Marshal James Anderson, whose quiet frontier life is torn apart right from the jump. Now, I won't spoil anything, but the opening hits harder than a boot to the ribs. LucasArts didn't shy away from emotional storytelling, and even today, that intro absolutely pulls you in. The villain, Dr. Death, is a real varmint. He immediately stood out to me. He looks like a mashup between Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Dr. Fred from Maniac Mansion. As an old school LucasArts fan, I couldn't unsee it. And honestly, it made me smile. Now visually, this remaster is respectful and clean. Sprites, textures, lighting, everything is sharper while still maintaining the gritty, dusty, hand-drawn frontier aesthetic that made Outlaws so unique. This game has a particular look about it, and Nightdive absolutely nails it. And the soundtrack, son bitch. Partner, the music in Outlaws is an absolute masterpiece. Composed by Clint Bajakian and heavily inspired by Ennio Morricone, it's one of the better soundtracks you've never heard. Full orchestral, emotional, cinematic, and iconic. The whistling themes, the mariachi trumpets, the lonely guitars. This soundtrack stands shoulder to shoulder with actual Western film scores, if you ask me. The voice acting also holds up beautifully. This was prime LucasArts creative peak. Powerful performances and tons of personality. Alright, buckaroo, let's stop flapping our gums and talk about the shooting, because that's what we're here for, right? Now look, Outlaws is a first-person shooter, but it is not your typical 1990s run and gun. This game rewards patience, positioning, and planning. Enemies like to hide behind bars, crates, corners, barrels of hay, windows, you name it. And they'll even yell at you and say, "Give up. You're outnumbered, partner." Or they'll say, "Where you at, Marshal? I'm looking for you." They feel smart for a 1997 shooter, and on higher difficulties, they can drop you in just a few hits just like it's real life. Every weapon feels satisfying. You start with your 6-shooter, your Henry rifle, and your fist, and gradually expand your arsenal with shotguns, explosives, and a scoped rifle. Now reloading matters, and Outlaws is often credited as one of the first-person shooter games to ever implement manual reloading and a zoomed sniper scope. These mechanics have since become industry standards. Nightdive also gives you an entire saddlebag of control options. You can tweak sensitivity, dead zones, smoothing, inversion, aim multipliers, vibrations, and more. Gyro aiming is fully supported on all consoles, though I turned it off. Holding L1 brings up your weapon wheel, and cycling between weapons feels clean and modern and very snappy. The moment that really clicked with me was discovering secret areas. In the very first level, I found a boarded up wall, opened it, and discovered a hidden stash and a gunman waiting to ambush me. Moments like this are sprinkled everywhere and really remind me of what it was like growing up in the Old West. Outlaws isn't just a shooter, it's an old school adventure in first person form, and the animation is fantastic. Seeing these classic Western shootouts play out with sharper visuals is unbelievably satisfying. Now let's move on over to what this remaster packs under the hood on PlayStation 5. And load times are practically instant, okay? The game runs smooth as butter. The improved rendering, enhanced textures, and crisp resolution look excellent on a 4K screen. Now there aren't any adaptive trigger features here, but rumble feels great. Gyro is available if you want it, and everything is fast, responsive, and clean. Whether you're scoping with R3, toggling the map overlay with triangle, or quick saving before a tough shootout, the PS5 version feels polished from top to bottom. Now, don't gallop too fast. Let's talk pacing before this bronco bucks ya. Outlaws moves at a great pace. Levels varied, loaded with secrets, stashes, but not my mustache, and hidden rooms. And the difficulty settings, the good, the bad, and the ugly, give you full control over how intense you want the experience to feel. Play on ugly, and suddenly you're playing a proto-tactical first-person shooter. Cover matters, angles matter, and patience matters. Enemies hit harder, positioning becomes everything, and it's an incredibly rewarding way to play that reminds me of the Old West. Now whether you've got 10 minutes or an hour to kill, Outlaws fits nicely into whatever size session you're in the mood for, partner. Okay, let's peek inside this here loot crate and see what goodies we're dealing with. Now this remaster includes the full Outlaws campaign, the historical missions, and the entire handful of missions expansion. You also get the Vault, a treasure trove loaded with artwork, storyboards, renders, and soundtrack files. It's essentially a LucasArts museum tucked inside the game, and it's fantastic. Multiplayer includes deathmatch, team play, capture the flag, and kill the fool with the chicken. Crossplay is supported across all platforms, though it wasn't active in the pre-release build. This game is perfect for retro, first-person shooter fans, LucasArts fans, Western enthusiasts, Nightdive loyalists, classic game preservation lovers, and classic game preservation lovers. Now let's kick our boots up and talk about the fun, partner. Outlaws is a blast to play, literally and figuratively. The secrets, the ambushes, the exploration, the sense of discovery, it's packed with a lot of great ideas. You'll go from dusty frontier towns to massive canyon shootouts to train car hopping to dark mines and icy caves. Digging under buildings with the shovel is awesome. Sniping enemies at long range feels incredibly satisfying. And watching civilians surrender inside the hotel made the world feel surprisingly alive for a 90s shooter. And yes, don't shoot the civilians. I made sure to not pull the trigger there. Let's keep our martial badge clean. Between difficulty modes, historical missions, trophies, and secrets, there's plenty of replay value here. Now let's sit back by the campfire for a spell and talk legacy, because this is the part of the story that really matters, not just for Outlaws but for gaming history as a whole. Outlaws didn't get the mainstream attention it deserved back in 1997. It released in the shadow of Quake, Duke Nukem, and other heavy hitters, but it quietly introduced mechanics that would define first-person design for decades. Manual reloading, zoomed sniper scopes, tactical room clearing, enemy callouts, and a heavier emphasis on cover. Outlaws was ahead of its time. But without Nightdive Studios, a whole generation might never have experienced any of that. Outlaws is one of those games that could have easily stayed lost on the frontier. LucasArts wasn't bringing it back. LucasArts ain't even around anymore. Compatibility issues made it harder and harder to play, and younger players today had almost no realistic way to get their hands on it. Nightdive changed all of that. Their entire mission is built around preserving games just like Outlaws. Forgotten gems, influential works, and cult classics that risk disappearing entirely. Their remaster portfolio reads like a museum of gaming history. Turok, Turok 2, Power Slave Exhumed, Quake, Quake 2, Shadow Man, System Shock, The Thing, PO'd, Heretic, Hexen, Rise of the Triad, and of course, Star Wars Dark Forces. Every one of these projects matter, and Nightdive treats each one with a level of respect that's rare in this industry. They don't overwrite the original identity, they enhance it. Outlaws is a perfect example. It's art, it's cinematics, it's music, all preserved, all restored. It still feels like Outlaws. It still looks like Outlaws. It just plays like the version fans always deserved. As someone who grew up loving LucasArts, someone who lives in the real American West like me, who grew up around saloons, stagecoaches, and stories of Wyatt Earp, seeing Outlaws preserved like this means a lot to me, partner. LucasArts shaped entire genres, and the idea of losing one of their most unique creations would have been a real shame. Thanks to Nightdive, it's not lost. It's alive and well, preserved, and ready for new players to enjoy. This is game preservation at its finest, and Nightdive continues to prove why nobody does it better. Alright folks, time to hitch up our horses and ride this review on home. Outlaws plus a handful of missions remastered is another triumph from Nightdive Studios. It's faithful, polished, respectful, and it finally gives modern players the chance to experience one of LucasArts' most unique and underrated classics. Now whether you're a longtime fan or brand new to it, this remaster is absolutely worth your time, partner, and it gets my full Thunderstruck recommendation. And if they announce a physical release, I'll be first in line. And hey, if you want more gaming talk every week, come hang out with us on the Nintendo Byte Podcast, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, with new guests, big topics, and all the latest Nintendo Switch 2 coverage. And remember, partners, never too old to play video games.